Of everything. Never stop exploring. The North Face, Dundrum Town Centre, Blanchardstown Centre and Cork. Summer sale now on.
Dating apps. I know what you're thinking. They're all the same. They don't work. And to be honest, for a lot of them, you're probably right. But for me, Go Dating was different. For a start, every Go Dating profile and photo is checked by a real person, not some AI bot. And the two-way matching feature actually works. Well, it did for me anyway. So maybe it'll work for you. Go on, give it a go.
Find your someone special. Sign up today at godating.ie. As loved by News Talk.
The Saturday panel on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Virgin Media. Enjoy an unbeatable lineup of live football and golf with Sky Sports and Sports Extra from Virgin Media.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you through to 5 o'clock. You can WhatsApp us today, 0879 180 180. That is 0879 180 180. You can also text us 53106 at the cost of 30 cents. The Saturday panel on Off the Ball this week brought to you by Virgin Media. Enjoy an unbeatable lineup of live football and golf with Sky Sports and Sports Extra from Virgin Media. Just going through the scores in the Premier League. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 0. No Alexander Isak in the Newcastle picture today, as we know, effectively on strike until that gets resolved as you go to Liverpool to stay at the club. Brighton Fulham at 3 o'clock. Sunderland West Ham at 3 o'clock. Tottenham and Burnley at 3. And then we have Wolves against Manchester City at 5:30 today. In the Championship, latest scores: Derby 2, Coventry 2. That's an entertaining match at half-time. Portsmouth 0, Norwich 2. It is Wrexham 1, West Brom 1. Blackburn and Birmingham kicks off at 3. The other 3 o'clock games: Bristol City against Charlton, Millwall versus Middlesbrough, Preston against Leicester, Sheffield Wednesday versus Stoke, and Swansea against Sheffield United, and Watford against QPR, also at 3 o'clock kick-off in the Championship. And also tomorrow, we have in the Premier League 2 live and exclusive commentary games here on Off the Ball. Remember, we have Nottingham Forest against Brentford. Keith Andrews' first game in charge of Brentford in the Premier League. And then Manchester United against Arsenal, the showdown from Old Trafford. So plenty to look forward to over, 38 weeks of the season. Live and exclusive commentaries every Sunday on Off the Ball Sunday on News Talk of the Premier League. So that is what we're going to talk about, the new season underway. And before Football Saturday 3, we're going to get into the mood by chatting about the beautiful game on this panel with the former Republic of Ireland boss Brian Kerr and the League of Ireland winning defender Colin Hawkins. Played for Pats, Bohemians and Shells. Brian and Colin, you're both very welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Sean. Great to be here.
Good to be here, John, on this auspicious day at the start of the Premier League and the days before Oasis today and tomorrow, isn't it? You're asking me, am I going?
You got your ticket, Brian?
Not yet. I haven't lost hope, John. You know yourself.
Folks out there, Brian Kerr wants to go to Oasis.
And he'd pay.
You a fan of Oasis? You like them?
I kind of like them, yeah. It wouldn't be, yeah. But I wouldn't be, like, paying over the odds to get a ticket now or anything. But I know it's such an occasion and sounds great crack. And you know, one of my daughters went to one in Manchester and she said it was absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, and Croke Park is always great to see something different in Croke Park other than Gaelic and hurling, you know. I think to see, even I was there for soccer and I was there for rugby and I enjoyed it, and I was there at a few gigs over the years, and I think it's always great to see that beautiful stadium used for other things other than just Gaelic games. And it's a kind of sign of the country changing a bit and, you know, the country being more inclusive and people being less selfish about what they have themselves, that it was opened up. I know at the moment in the country it's becoming a bit less inclusive, unfortunately, with some of the moods around the place in relation to, you know, some of the racial stuff that's going on. But on days like a band with an Irish background who have lived most of their lives in England and one of the world's great bands and all their history and breaking up and falling out and slagging each other and abusing each other.
That's like the League of Ireland, Brian.
No, it was never as bad as that, I think, in the League of Ireland as it was between the two brothers. And they've got back together and they're doing these fantastic gigs. So, you know, in such a special place, I think it'd be, I don't know if they can be emotional, but I think that could be even a bit emotional for them, you know.
It's a homecoming.
From Mayo background, and, you know, a lot of Mayo people will probably go there.
Are you going to go, Colin?
I'm lucky enough, a good friend, shout out for Maura McLaughlin, a friend of my wife. She got us tickets a couple of months back, so looking forward to it. And my son and daughter actually got lucky as well. They got tickets, so I went to see them years ago when I was in England at the time at Coventry. Went to the Main Road gig, so that was unbelievable. So to be able to go back to them in Croke Park, looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah, should be great.
Enjoy yourself. You know, Brian, a long time. I'm thinking to Malaysia. What, 1997? We're third in the world. Under 20s?
Yeah, 97 again. We must be due a reunion again, Brian. The 30th one is coming up. You did a great job for us for the 25th, so a bit of pressure now for the 30th.
Well, look at John. I won't be too humble about this. These were, it's probably, it was certainly one of the biggest achievements ever in Irish football, what that team did. I didn't know them very well. I'd only come into the job and I inherited the fact that they had qualified for the World Cup. But there was also 8 months of other players who were eligible to play at it because UEFA and FIFA worked off a different age group. So it was a tricky job for me to put that squad together. But what they achieved in getting toward the World Cup, and when I meet them and when I talk to them, I always remind them of that they're the only Irish team in history who've got a medal at the World Cup in football, and they may well be the only team ever. I would hope someone beats it and at senior level or under 17 level that sometime an Irish team will do it. But it's hard to see it happening at the moment the way football has developed, both in here and the rest of the world. Unfortunately, we've gone back, we've gone downwards, and majority of countries around the world have moved on. But that was a remarkable achievement of a team of players who didn't hit the greatest heights afterwards. A lot of them had very, very steady careers, like Colin had in the League of Ireland, and Trevor Malloy and Alan Kirby and Neil Fenn and Mikey Cummins played hundreds of games at lower level in England, not in the Premier League. Dave Worrell had a good career, played with Plymouth, played in the Championship with Plymouth. A standout one was obviously Damien Duff. Niall Inman batted around in the lower divisions as well. Glenn Crowe, great career here in the League of Ireland. Trevor, as I mentioned. Who else? Probably
Robbie Ryan.
Robbie Ryan, a very good career. Played in the cup final. Oko played with Huddersfield for a while. Some of them, but didn't do great. Dave Whittle battered around in the League of Ireland a bit after QPR. Aidan Lynch, UCD, good career. But what they achieved as a team in that competition, Dave Worrell and Colin as the centre backs were the core of the team. Thomas Morgan's the captain in the middle of the field, great League of Ireland career. The spine of the team, Neil Fenn through the middle with Trevor at times, depending on how we played. Mickey Cummins at right back, Robbie Ryan at left back. And we played great football. We played 7 games in phenomenal conditions from our point of view. The heat and the humidity were extraordinary. But we played great football. We scored some brilliant goals. We were on the back foot a bit in a few matches, but in general. So Colin was such a key man in that centre back. Calm. He was a mixture of the modern and old style centre half, is what I'd say. He won the battles, he won the headers, he won the duels, as they're called now. But when he had the ball at his feet, he started to play. Himself and Dave Worrell were very comfortable on the ball. Dave isn't particularly big fella. He's not huge for a centre back. But they started to play from there and played through Thomas in the middle of the field. Thomas Morgan was what was he now described now? What would you describe him as now? He's a number 6.
6, yeah.
A 6.
Yeah, brilliant on the ball though. Could do everything.
Yeah, and Thomas linked the play and went from there, get it out to Damien in the wide position, Alan Kirby, Neumann, whoever played in the wide positions. The front players, Glenn was in the team, hold her up, Neil Fenn, get us into the game, get us up the pitch. But when we hit the Ginga a bit, we would as well too. He could, when I say Ginga, play an accurate pass straight to front man. And then he came back and had a great career around League of Ireland. He's been going through a few battles lately where, he might talk about that himself, but he was a brilliant player, brilliant League of Ireland player, had another go in England. You might talk about that yourself, Doncaster, and come back again, and smashing player, great memories, still all good friends. And when we have a reunion, Johnny Burns even turned up day after his dad died, the last one, we got all 18 players together last time after 25 years. The last time they were together was on an open top bus coming down O'Connell Street the day after we came home. But I think one or two of them got off the flight in England, and we only had 16.
That's right.
But we got all 18 together after 25 years, and it was like, honestly, John, it was like we were only coming home from Malaysia after the achievement. They were all such good friends, such great respect for each other as a group. Paul Whelan, I didn't mention, the goalkeeper who was brilliant when he was called into action. Derek Oko was sick. He was sick for one match. He was nearly dying from food poison, and he also got put off in the match for delaying a kick out, which was absolutely ridiculous. And Paul was brilliant when he played. He was a bit younger than the rest of the group. But anyway, so
great adventure to start your career, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. And it came at a tough time for myself, the likes of myself, Thomas Morgan. I always look back. There was probably lads, Richard Dunn, Robbie Keane, Ian Hart. There was a few of the lads who were doing really well in the UK at the time. Probably should have gone in the squad, and for one reason or another, they pulled out for injuries or whatever reasons. And that gave fellas like myself and Thomas, who were, we were at a bad spell. We'd just been released. I'd been released by Coventry, by Gordon Strachan. Thomas had come home from Blackburn. So this, for Brian to show his faith in us, how we did so well was just down to the team spirit of that group. It was an incredible group, and it's no surprise that we've kept together, kept in contact. We're on a WhatsApp group. There's messages going on it every couple of days, like a bit of crack all the time. So it was what Noel and Brian did with us the month or two leading up to the tournament before we even did out, the preparation down in Limerick, getting ready for the heat and humidity, all that kind of stuff, wearing bloody jackets, rain jackets in the saunas. We thought these guys are crazy, but like we got the benefits later on. And fellas had the holidays booked in. Brian always said from day one, you're there for the duration, you're there till the final. We just came up short 1-0 against Argentina.
Who won it?
Argentina,
they won
Uruguay.
it, yeah.
Yeah, Argentina beat Uruguay, that's right, yeah. And then
they had Riquelme, they had Aymar, they had Lionel Scaloni, the World Cup winning manager.
Yeah, Romeo was the bloke that scored the goal. He was already playing in the Italian, in the top division, scoring goals. But the thing on that one where he said that they had holidays booked, I had sent them all individual letters before we went away saying nobody was to book holidays until after the final, because they intended us being there for the final, right? And I thought one time I made that up, but I didn't. I actually found the original copy that I put together. So I remember when we were beaten in the semi-final, we were a bit sad about it, and we knew we were going to play Ghana in the third place playoff, and we our second time to play Ghana. They beaten us in the first game, wasn't it? We played Ghana. They were the African champions. Anyway, we were playing, and I remember saying to them, "Look, I told you not to book your holidays, and I told you we'd be here for the final. Unfortunately, we're not in it, but we're going to be playing before the final, and that's the second best thing. We're playing for a medal." And, we had a great laugh about it. And some lads, there was scurrying going on about holidays.
Well, to have the medal, as Brian said, like we do recognise that there might not ever happen again. So we do treasure that medal, and the fact that we won the third and fourth place playoff was massive to come on with that medal, So, and the celebrations went on for ages when we came back, still going on.
And then you were playing Celtic within a year, was it, for Pats?
Yeah, so then the decision was, I did have a few offers on the back of doing well with Brian. There was offers from Forest and Tranmere. Actually played with John Aldridge with Tranmere. They were over here in the pre-season, so I played a couple of games. But that was the opportunity. Pat Dolan had flown over to Malaysia to talk to Trevor Malloy. Obviously had spoke to Brian about the whole St. Pat's.
Well, he didn't actually, Pat. It was off his own bat. I was too busy. Once I went into that job in 97, I was ferocious busy, and I didn't get involved. I was gone out of Pat's, and I was determined to leave it to them. And I didn't, have any conversation. Pat made his own mind up to get out to Malaysia, and he got there. And the benefits of that was he was able to see how you perform. I think he only arrived for the semi-final, did he?
Yeah,
I think he did. He arrived with a plastic bag with a spare shirt in it, and that was his luggage, I think. But so that gave him a bit of an advantage, because he did know that. I don't know who he signed, you and Thomas.
Thomas, yeah. Trevor, he was obviously over to talk to Trevor, I think. And then
Trevor was at Athlone.
Yeah.
Trevor came through a trial system I had.
And he wanted to make sure he nailed Trevor down. And then he started talking to others like myself and Thomas. And then, it was the first opportunity to play full-time football in Ireland. And we were going to train in the mornings, do everything correctly. So I was trying to weigh up. I'd obviously been hurt by the experience in England. I had all my family back here in Galway, a lot of them in Dublin. So it's one of probably the best decisions I ever made, going to Pats for them 3 years, picking up 2 league titles and all the European football that came with it. So
and Henrik Larsson, did you?
Yeah, magic. Yeah, that game in Celtic, they just done up Celtic Park, so there was like, I think there was close on between 60,000-70,000. So it was a huge atmosphere for us to go into as underdogs, and drew the game 0-0. There was a recent clip, Martin Riley, brilliant chance right at the end to win it. Should have scored really, and Martin will admit that. And we could have brought it 1-0. The disappointing thing then, you don't get to play in Richmond because of the rules or whatever around the ground. So it goes to Tolka. You come out and it's like an away game against Celtic with the amount of Celtic fans there, but beaten 2-0. But again, and then a couple of weeks, then we the Lansdowne tournament. You're playing against Liverpool, Leeds, Lazio. They're all over. So it was a great couple of weeks. In like, it was only 19 or 20, so it was great memories. You know, them few weeks on the back of Malaysia. We're
chatting to Colin Hawkins and Brian Kerr about football. So you did get a second bite of the cherry in England. You went to Coventry again and Brighton and.
Yeah, the interesting one, I suppose, was I always tell young players, and I'm heavily involved up at St. Mocta's in Clonsilla as the director of football. We've 40 teams up there, so you get chatting to young lads about their careers and dealing with disappointments and stuff like that. But I was released by Coventry, by Gordon Strachan. They were Premier League, if you like, at the time, so there was a lot of centre halves ahead of me. I was probably the 8th or 9th centre half. Got released, came home with your tail between your legs. But then it was exactly 10 years after that. I was playing in Shelbourne. We'd won the league, and it was well documented. The whole team split up for financial reasons, so we all went everywhere. Sean Dillon went to Dundee. Eamon Collins was looking after me at the time, got a phone call, and there's a club in for you. I was actually on my honeymoon at the time. Stephen Kenny was ringing me, my hotel room. My wife will always tell me, looking for me to go to, he had gone over to Scotland. Pat Fenlon had gone up to Derry, so there was a few of them looking for me to sign. But Eamon said, there's a club in for you in England, you have to go over, there's a 3-day trial. If you do well, there's a place in their championship starting team. So that was it. I said, who is it? Coventry. Couldn't believe it. Like 10 years later, literally drove into the same training ground where I'd lived, same tea ladies and all the people that looked after me. So it's kind of a story that, listen, never give up. I came home really disappointed, but then 10 years later I went in, made sure the 3 days, having had 6 weeks off and wedding and honeymoon and all that kind of crazy stuff, made the most of the 3 days and got a contract, played on the Monday night against Luton, and we won. We were down around 18th in the table, but went on a brilliant run, beating Wolves, Southampton. I remember they were all championship clubs at the time, so I'd come from League of Ireland. I was like, I've arrived, you know. So it was a great experience just to go back and play in the championship, you know.
And then you ended up at Brighton for a time, and look where they are now.
Yeah, after that, I went there. They were a League One club, obviously playing at the Whitney Stadium, but I knew all the plans for them to push on and kick on, and the new stadium was being built. Tony Bloom had just gone into the club. Gus Poyet came in as the manager. I was invited back to do that summer. I'd ruptured my Achilles. I had an awful bad Achilles injury. He'd invited me back as he came in as the manager. And we just made the decision. Elaine, we'd had 2 kids at that point to come home. And there was an offer from Liam Buckley, who we had good times with the Pats at Sporting Fingal. And again, European football, all this kind of stuff. I was thinking, right, opportunity to come back and play in Europe at the ages around 30, I suppose, at that point. So no regrets. You look back on all decisions you make at different points in your career, but lots of ups and downs.
Where I mentioned Doncaster.
That was the one. That's when I left Pats. Yeah, originally the first time.
The first time. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
It seems harder now, doesn't it? Because the Premier League is so global for Irish players too. There's not going to be many involved. There'll be Callagher and Collins at Brentford, Jake O'Brien at Everton, Matt Doherty at Wolves, maybe Seamus Coleman at Everton, but not many.
No, maybe Andy Morden be still at Brighton. Will he get a go at all this season? But that's about it. It's about 5, and you're looking at, Matt Doherty.
Josh Cullen, obviously, at Burnley.
With Josh Cullen as captain of Burnley, and that's it. And with lots of players playing in the championship. But even go back, like when I was managing the youth teams, I managed the senior team. Well, I could go to matches. I remember one day. Sounds a bit mad to say it now, but I was sitting beside Sven Eriksson, right, manager of England, and it was a morning kickoff at Liverpool, Manchester United, and Liverpool, Manchester United, and I was sitting beside him, and he said to me, "You have an interest here today," which I thought was a bit strange to ask me. Why would I be going to a match with no interest in? I said, yeah. I said, and I thought it was really strange. He didn't understand the Irish players were playing. I said, the number 16. I said, he's one of ours, Roy Keane. Oh yes, he said. And I said, and for the other team, I said, John O'Shea. I said, also he's one of theirs. And I said, number 2, Steve Finnan. I said, oh yes. He said, I'm kind of baffled that he doesn't know these players. Like, there's only about 400 players in the Premier League. He's been there for a few years. They're not like you confuse them, like, is he from Nigeria or Mali or Cameroon? You know, they're like, and they were fairly well known fellas. I just couldn't believe he wasn't way on top. But, you know, I could go to that, but then I could go to, say, Spurs, Manchester United, and it'd be Roy and John O'Shea maybe in the middle of the field, and Stephen Kerr and Robbie is playing, and Gary Doherty might be playing, Andy Reid might be playing. We might have 6 or 7 in a match, in a Premier League match, not far from the top of the table. And, you know, and people say, why didn't you do better when you had the team? I didn't do too bad either with the players. But, you know, you could be going to Everton and Kevin be playing, and, you know, I would pick the match depending on who they were playing against, because there might be 2 or 3 in the other match. Now they don't have that, you know, the current manager doesn't have that. You can go to championship matches and you see a good few players. If he goes to, so it was West Brom and... where we got the
Ipswich, Southampton, Bristol City.
Ipswich last week was good. Ipswich and Southampton.
Smolix and Ogbeni fit again.
Yeah, and they went off in the game. There O'Shea playing and so on. But you know, it's a bit different.
Yeah,
can it get better?
You'd like to think so. I mean, everyone pins their hopes on. You talk about Mason Mealy, obviously signing for Spurs is a huge one. He's gone over there a lot more prepared. It's going to be really difficult for him to break into that first team squad. Like, there's a brand new manager there that he had nothing got to do with his transfers. You know what I mean? When he gets there, Thomas Frank wouldn't. He's only getting to know him now. I'm sure he's looking at clips of him. But having said that, been really impressed with everything I've seen from Mason Mealy. But he's only a young kid going over there. And then young Noonan at Rovers is the one everyone talks about where he ends up. But really difficult, to break into that Premier League. They're looking for a different type of player. They're bringing in athletes, I see, and turning them into footballers more so.
John, when I was going watching players for the youth team in that period, 97, 98, 99, around that time, like Damien Duff, who we haven't really talked about because he was part of the Malaysian team, but Damien was playing the first team at Blackburn. I first went to see him in a youth cup match, and there was a buzz in the ground when he got the ball. There was a good crowd at the youth cup game because he was playing. But he was playing the first team. Robbie was playing the first team at Wolves. Barry Quinn was the captain of the team that won in Cyprus. He was playing the first team at Coventry, but Coventry were in the Premier League at the time. And Barry Quinn was playing. Thomas Healy was playing regular at Huddersfield in the Championship. So many of them. Liam George was playing regular at Luton, who were Luton might have been Division 3 at that time, maybe lower Championship. Gary Doherty, the same, he was at Luton. But the players were playing the first team, who I was picking for the youth international team. People used to be really given out that, yeah, picking so-and-so out of the League of Ireland. I'm going, but I can pick fellas that are playing the first team in England. They're not just youth team players. Now we don't have that. So we don't, you know, compared to that. So we don't, you know, we're hoping lads are going to get through at 21, 22 into the first team. Then they were good enough, and they'd come through the system, and that's where the problem is now. I mean, you know, players went when they were 15, 16, they went to England and they were full-time and they were coming through the system and they were exceptional to get into the first team. Now, they're not going till they're 18. And
because of Brexit.
Because of Brexit. And if they're very good, very, very good, some of them have broken into the first team in the League of Ireland. Not that many of them, but some of them have. But they're missing out on that 2 to 3 years of full-time intensive training and lifestyle and competitiveness. Some of it wasn't always good for them. Some lads didn't develop very well and they suffered the pain of being rejected and coming home. But the better ones survived and broke through at the first team level. Now they're not going, you know, and the dependence is on the League of Ireland clubs to develop them. The schoolboy clubs can do the best they can up to 13, 14. And now they're going into League of Ireland. League of Ireland clubs don't have the resources. That's why they're making such a big deal about the responsibility of the academies. But they do have that responsibility. Our international teams depend on the quality. The quality is not going to be as good if they're not training as often, if they're not in an environment that's as competitive as it should be, if the kids aren't as hungry as maybe they used to be, or the kids are from other areas around the world. And you see where the players are coming from. The best players are coming from South America and Africa, and they're making their way across to Europe and to the Premier League eventually. But lots of leagues around Europe are dependent on those players. They're often the best, most technical players, apart from the ones that are taught and trained in the academy systems around Europe that are there's huge investment in and have culture and have spent time on it. Like, say, the Netherlands, for instance, they've been at it for years. But a lot of the smaller countries now, Montenegro, Croatia, we see them coming up, with new players, technical players. And we're falling behind on that because their system. Would you?
No, 100%.
Is that fair?
Like, obviously, the Brexit thing has kept them here, and then everyone talks about the government funding. Like, they're trying everything they can, whether it's the Shane Robinsons in the FAI at the moment or the clubs. We have a link with Mockers with Shelbourne. I can see there's some really good coaches there. They're trying their best with the academy players they have, but they're like, the facilities they have are just same facilities I dealt with 30 years ago.
And the contact time isn't frequent.
No,
because the people that are volunteers are generally.
It's fair to say we don't have an industry for football in Ireland.
And Pat Dolan was saying that 25 years ago, and we're still saying that. It's a very small industry. Many League of Ireland clubs, how many full-time people have they got, full-time coaches? Not many, 3 or 4. Some of the top clubs, say, Shamrock Rovers, Shelbourne maybe in the last couple of years, Pats, Cork, Bows, they still only have 3 or 4 full-time people. Even the people working in their underage setup, if they're generally doing various jobs, they're running a team, and they're probably doing a bit of commercial stuff or helping the office, and they're not full-time coaches as such. They can't afford that at the moment. And it means the contact time with the players, because the players are in school, is 3 or 4 times a week. It might be 3 training sessions, it might be 1 gym session, it might be 1 match. But in comparison to what all the other kids around Europe and further afield in the world are getting, it's not enough to develop the players to the quality that's required for us to be competitive, where we're picking from a fairly small base of roughly 5 million people, and they're divided out between a multiplicity of sports. You've got rugby, got a certain percentage of them, not a huge percentage. Certainly the GAA games have a huge number of them. And then, so if each country only produces, I would say, a certain amount of geniuses, a certain number of geniuses. Those geniuses are divided between those other sports, and you take in, we've had the odd genius in gymnastics and a few other sports and swimming and so on, that we've got Olympic medals. Of course, the boxers, which are different, they're not maybe ball game merchants, but they could have been like Katie Taylor. But so we have to do it better. We have to do it more intensely. We have to have the best coaches with the best young players. We don't have that. We need the best. When I was running the underage international teams, we had the best coaches with the best international players at that time. The lads I had around me were the best. But the players, we were getting in players who were already ready for us because the clubs are developing them in England. We would have included the likes of, Keith Doyle in the team that won, playing at Pats, full-time at Pats at the time. But there was very few players who were good enough in the system here to play at the level we were playing at, which was about beating Spain and Portugal.
So we desperately need state money.
Yeah.
But it's not going to come from anywhere else.
Yeah.
It might come from, it should come from the gambling money or the lottery money. It should come from something like that, where there's money where people are spending loose money on, say, it's both of them are gambling. The betting and the lottery are both gambling in their own ways. And it's people's, let's say, loose money. But it needs to come from those sort of sources. Given them, what was the figure yesterday on League of Ireland? Nearly €6 million was bet on every League of Ireland match. Now, it's not just in Ireland, that's worldwide, on every League of Ireland Premier League match. But how much of it is even bet on each? But that's only one aspect of football. There's massive, massive money around there, and some of it has to go back in. We're drifting back. It's not the fault of the manager. It's not the fault of Helgram, Stephen Kenny, or the fellas before them. We're drifting back with the quality of players we have. Maybe we should have had better results with some of the players we had, even back in my own time. But we've got to try and ensure to remain competitive in the future.
You mentioned, John, but not the industry is there. Like, but as you said, the funding needs to happen. And in fairness to the coaches, there's some quality coaches out there that just there is no role for them. Like, these fellas have put themselves through serious expense, probably themselves, and they've gone under the UEFA Pro license, whether they did them here, the UK, or Northern Ireland. I could mention some brilliant coaches here sitting in jobs, and they're absolutely being wasted because there is no job for them, whether it's in the FAI or in the academies, because they can't afford them. As Brian said, the clubs like a Shelbourne, they can only afford 2 or 3 full-time staff. Like, so until that funding comes through, how are these players going to improve the contact hours, all that kind of stuff that everyone's banging on?
And you see those quality coaches you're talking about, they're out and about, and they have spent fortunes in educating themselves on the game, and then they need opportunity, and they can't get opportunity with the FAI. There's not enough roles. There's a few international teams, and the same manager's been in them for a good few years, and the clubs there's only a certain number of teams, and they're looking for opportunity, and they end up staying in jobs and doing a bit part-time, and they're not really getting paid. They can't. There's no industry, as you said, and those people aren't getting the opportunity to flourish, and sort of opportunities that I had, luckily. But it was late enough in my life before those opportunities came, and the same for Noel O'Reilly. But
okay, Brian Kerr and Colin Hawkins. We're going to have our chat more so about the Premier League after the break. We've got to take a break for news. It's Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Please stay tuned to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. We're back shortly.
Follow at News Talk FM on Instagram for the latest videos from our presenters, reporters and team behind the scenes. News Talk. Conversation that counts.
Sometimes life can be a lot. Leave the world behind at Aquasana Forest Spa. Heal in the glow of volcanic mists. Reinvigorate your body in the ice cave. Feel boosted by hot spring bubbles. Feel yourself. Feel revitalized in the forest. Aquasana Forest Spa, just 90 minutes from Dublin. Book exclusively at aquasana.ie.
How we use electricity can be smarter, cleaner and greener. At Electric Ireland, we can help guide you there. Our Net Zero Hub has all you need to know about smart meter plans, home EV chargers, solar panels, heat pumps and much more. Making your usage clearer, your trips greener, your home cozier and your world brighter. Find our Net Zero Hub at electricireland.ie.
The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €15.5 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Roll on more full trolleys for even less with Lidl Plus. This week, you could spend just €93 on a full trolley worth €123 and save over an incredible €30. Push your savings further with new offers on the Lidl Plus app every week. Scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus. T's and C's apply. See Lidl.ie/Lidl Plus savings.
Get sorted for the new season with Sky Sports and Sports Extra from Virgin Media. Our customers get all the live action from the Premier League by adding Sky Sports, TNT Sports and Premier Sports, all for just €30 a month for 12 months. That's less than half price. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to availability. Existing TV customers adding Sky Sports and Sports Extra to their TV pack. 12-month offer. After offer €74. Minimum term 30 days. Full T's and C's. See virginmedia.ie. Ends December 31st, 2025.
Heading off on holiday? Don't forget to park to relax. Travelling for business? Well then just park to work. Flying for a city break? Simply park to explore. No matter where you're going, you'll find safe, secure shuttle parking just 6 minutes from the airport at Park 2 Travel. And for the entire month of August, one customer every day will receive 2 weeks free parking when they book at park2travel.ie. Park2travel.ie. For when you need to park to, well, travel. Terms and conditions apply.
On 106 to 108 FM, on the News Talk app powered by Go Loud and Smart Speaker. This is News Talk, your IMRO National Station of the Year.
Good afternoon, I'm Daniel Pitcher. Donald Trump's hailed his meeting with Vladimir Putin as great and very successful, despite not reaching a deal to end the war in Ukraine. The US President will now welcome Vladimir Zelensky to the White House on Monday, which he says will pave the way for a total end to the fighting. A Ukrainian MP has labelled the meeting a letdown, But Kirill Dmitriev, who was part of the Kremlin's delegation during the discussions, says there were lots of positives.
The US side has received Russian side very well. There were lots of issues that were discussed and many we agreed. And we'll continue building US-Russia relations going forward, despite lots of the resistance to this, but we'll continue strengthening US-Russia ties.
Here, MEP Sean Kelly says the goalposts have changed as he reconsiders a bid for the presidency. Mairead McGuinness withdrew her name from contention this week and says the decision was made for health reasons. Senior Fine Gael figures are due to meet over the coming days to discuss next steps. Sean Kelly says Miss McGuinness would have put forward a strong campaign.
Well, I didn't give any interviews on this in the last couple of days because my complete sympathy is with Mairead McGuinness. We worked together in the European Parliament for a good number of years. She was all set to, I think, to put in a tremendous campaign. And I didn't want to be saying anything. I think she needed the time and space at the moment. But obviously, as you said, the goalposts have changed.
While the Social Democrats say politicians must be held to account for delays or failures in big state projects, it comes as the National Children's Hospital completion date could be delayed again. Construction was due to be completed by the end of September. However, claims of a lack of resources have cast fresh doubt, according to the Irish Independent. Social Democrats TD Gary Gannon says other nations are able to complete projects properly.
We see hospitals built in other countries, other jurisdictions that come in cheaper, come in on time. We've developed a culture of expectation of failure around large capital projects, where I think it's a failure of leadership, a failure of good government, a failure of just basic accountability. Nobody is ever held to account for decisions like this.
And the countdown is on ahead of Oasis taking to the stage at Croke Park. The Gallagher brothers will play 2 sold-out gigs tonight and tomorrow, with 160,000 people set to enter the venue over the next 2 days. And that's your news for now.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Soak up some Moroccan sun with Ryanair's low-fare flights to Agadir, Marrakesh or Rabat.
Dry with a mix of cloud and good sunny spells this afternoon. It's going to be very warm as well, with highest temperatures of up to 26 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Saturday panel on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Virgin Media. Enjoy an unbeatable lineup of live football and golf with Sky Sports and Sports Extra from Virgin Media.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5. The Saturday panel on Off the Ball brought to you today by Virgin Media. Enjoy an unbeatable lineup of live football and golf with Sky Sports and Sports Extra from Virgin Media. 0-0 still between Aston Villa and Newcastle. Esri Konsa sent off for Villa in that game. In the Championship, what a match this is. Derby County 3, Coventry City 4. That match 75 minutes old. Colin Hawkins is with us, his old club Coventry. Portsmouth 0, Norwich 2 is the latest, and Wrexham 1, West Bromwich Albion 2. Spurs play Burnley at 3 o'clock. Josh Cullen is in the Burnley side this afternoon. The Tottenham team, just to let you know, including Richarlison up front. Brennan Johnson plays today, didn't play during the week. Mohamed Kudus, Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall in the middle. Then we got Brighton against Fulham at 3 and Sunderland West Ham at 3 o'clock. Wolves against Manchester City 5:30. Also have ex-Republic of Ireland boss Brian Kerr with us as well for the next hour and a half, half an hour or so, not hour and a half. Premier League games, Brian, you've been to so many with us on Sundays and with Today FM before that as well. Your favourite match, the match that stands out, that was an amazing game.
I've been at so many matches, so they kind of blend into one. But if I was to pick a match, one match, there was a match in 2016 between it was Arsenal and Spurs. Their match, Spurs Arsenal. We were doing it. I was doing it with Ron Jones.
Spoke to him recently. He's well.
Great Ron Jones, and Arsenal were leading one of them. I forget who scored the goal, but Harry Kane got a brilliant goal. Like, if you were to say to me about who have you enjoyed over the last 20 years of going to Premier League matches where I've been going much more frequently, working on the radio, I think Harry Kane has been one of those players I've loved watching, the consistency of him and Son, along with, lots of other players. Salah's been amazing. I love watching Mo Salah. I love him as his person, his personality and what he takes on. But Kane scored a wonderful goal that day from out. It was kind of on our side, but it was down near the corner, and it was Dele Alli back-heeled the ball to him, and he still had a lot to do coming in from the touchline. But it was that period he was wearing a bit of a mask. He had a cheek damage or something, and he whipped the shot in from maybe 10 yards into the touchline into the far corner, bent her in, and it was the match finished a 1-1 draw, and it was a great match. It was an up and down, typical volatile, Spurs Arsenal derby, but it was kind of the essence of Kane in some ways, in pulling out a goal when the rest of the team were struggling. And there was lots of other games after that I went to, and the rest of the team was struggling. He was scoring goals, and it was kind of ironic. He went to Munich and eventually got a medal this year. The first year he didn't, and Spurs won something without him. But I think that was probably one of the best games. So many great games. Like the game with Aston Villa, Man City, when Aston Villa went 2 up. Last game, 2 or 3 seasons ago, and Man City come back and won comfortably in the end 4-2, and they were brilliant. But it looked like it was all going to slip away.
It's the title on the final day.
On the last day, yeah. But, I need a bit more time on picking other games, John. I've been so many games, and not always the biggest games, involving the top 6. Games with the likes of Brentford. I haven't been at Bournemouth at all, but Brentford, a lot of Brentford's games have been very entertaining. And since Thomas Frank went there, they've been a very good side to watch. Crystal Palace, I've always looked on to see Crystal Palace, even going back when Damien Delaney was playing centre half for them, and they were very good. The ground is tight. It's almost like an upgrade in the League of Ireland ground, but not much. And the passion in the stadium there, and you see, even I was there not working last year at Palace and Newcastle, 1-1 draw, brilliant match, brilliant. Newcastle looked like they were going to win it on the counter attack. Isak was playing, scoring, but Muniz got an equalising goal. He should have had 3. Should have scored a couple of goals before that. Eventually, it was a great match, but not every match is a great match. I think on the radio we make them sound like great matches, and that's part of the
talent of
the task.
Nathan and Stephen and yourself
to make people jealous that they haven't gone. Some weeks they're not great, some weeks ago, but a lot of them are very, very good matches, and the football is more open and more technical, and the disappointment is not so many Irish players playing, but there's so many great players playing from all around the world that it's most weeks are a joy. If you get to go, it's a great experience, and I'm fortunate to get that opportunity on a regular basis.
You're a Manchester United fan, Colin, as well, so you've been to Old Trafford a good few times.
Yeah, been over to plenty of games, yeah. United fan, the first memory will be 85 Cup Final. That's when I got into football, the Norman Whiteside winner against Everton. That's probably my first football memory, and that's kind of set out the love for football, I think. But yeah, Premier League has been amazing. One game, obviously, as a United fan, it's a strange one to pick, was that Aguero one, the drama of that last-minute winner, QPR. They should have been hammering QPR on that day, but the drama and United getting their win and then losing the titles at Aguero goal. So that one sticks in the memory. I remember the 4-3 one, that was before the Premier League. The Liverpool-Newcastle one, that was a crazy game as well. The Collymore one. So plenty of brilliant memories there. But like Brian, I like looking at teams like a Brentford, or I love watching Villa. I really like Unai Emery, the way they play. They should have another great season this year. Areola at Bournemouth play lovely football. I've a mate there as assistant manager, Tommy Elphick. They played well last night. I know
very well.
Yeah, I know Liverpool went on to win it at the end, but a cracking game last night as well, actually, for a neutral. Everyone's hoping will Liverpool drop a few points, but and then Salah. We talked about Salah there, Brian. I just think he's unbelievable, and there's no talk about him in the off season because of the new signings Liverpool have brought in. And yes, they're 3-2 up, and you're thinking, as a gaffer, I'm sure Brian is roaring, just run into the corner, but he takes on 2 players, unbelievable finish. He wants a match.
I think I watching the match, I think he would have had the hump had he won last night. Yeah. He hadn't scored. And that's what I saw.
He's got the best record of anybody for scoring in the first game of the season as well.
Yeah, but like all the goals he has scored, now it was at 187 now in the Premier League. He's up to 4th place, and he's chasing Rooney. He's about 22 behind. I said, when you get another 21 behind, it's 22 this season. He could do it, but it's the consistency of him from the wide position. It's going to be very interesting this year with Frimpong playing, it was different. And Trent didn't run ahead of him, or if he did, he ran on the inside. Now we'll have Frimpong running on the outside. We saw a little bit of that last night, not so much, but how that combination works, it'll be interesting how that develops. And so many of them with Wirtz, how does that work with Salah and Wirtz and Ekatite? And if they do sign Isaac, by how all those combinations work, it's going to be fascinating on Liverpool how they. I mean, they were vulnerable looking last night, and Carragher right go after the match. But you would think that the manager, being so clever, will sort it out. I mean, Endo looked. Well, he ended up playing. He brought Endo on and had him at right back, and he struggled. They were getting badly done for pace, and they were getting done on the other side as well. When they took Kerkez off, Robinson come on. Kerkez, he's going to be a good player. He's one of those Hungarian players going to be playing against us in September as well, you know. But so there's a lot of. I think Liverpool will sort out some of the defensive stuff. Gravenberch been missing last night as a key one for them. I think they will sort out that been overran, I suppose, and even how exposed they were by Palace. And that's another one. Like those the three Bs, Brentford, Bournemouth and Brighton. I always like watching them. And then you throw in Palace as well. Yeah. Palace like at 3 points after 8 games last year and looked like the manager was under severe pressure. End up having the best season they've ever had. Yeah. And Paddy McCarthy's working there. He's a good friend of ours. Mm-hmm. He's working with the Irish team with John, a great lad. And won the cup and then won the Community Shield. For what it's worth, a lot of managers in the past, I mean, I think even Marino used to put his fingers up and claim that was a big trophy. But it is for Crystal Palace to win any trophy. It was a great day for them last week, wasn't it? But to win the FA Cup was... So I enjoy these teams who are battling against the odds financially against the big teams. You've seen the last 2 years, the 3 teams that come up have gone straight back down. Was it Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, then last year Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton. This year, I think, looking at the signs Sunderland made, I think they have a bit of a chance. I think Leeds have a bit of a chance as well of staying up. I don't think Burnley will, and I'd like to see them doing well with Scott Parker. They only conceded 16 goals last year. It sounds great, but I don't think they'll be able to do it. And they sold the goalkeeper to Man City as well, Trafford. So they, but I think the other two have a bit of a chance. But I don't know who the ones are going to go down against them. That's not talking about the top of the table. Interesting to see how Everton go in the new stadium this year. But Moyes, I think they're 2 great signings.
Grealish and
Dewsbury Hall.
For Chelsea.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Grealish goes. I think he'll do well for them.
You think they'd bond well with the Everton fans? Kind of the supporters who love a bit of Grealish.
Well, I think they'll also look at him and saying he's taking a bit of a chance coming to us. We've been nowhere for a long time. We've been scrapping against relegation the last few years, and we've, the crowd have been grumpy and moany, and we've not had many good days, and they're fighting about the ownership and all that. And now they've got Moyes, who was a kind of an insulating figure, isn't he? He's one who he gathers people together and makes the best of what he has. But I think Dewsbury Hall, I don't know, what do you think?
I'd love to see Everton do well.
I think he's a good player, Dewsbury Hall. I think he'll do well for him. Didn't get a fair go, did he?
No,
at Chelsea, except in the conference.
What about the title race then for you, Colin? How do you see it? How many teams do you see in the mix for it?
Again, listen, everyone's going to give you the same answers. Liverpool are the obvious one after last year with the new players, the attacking players they brought in. I just think Arsenal, there was a stat there in Arsenal over the last 3 seasons, they've amassed more points than any teams because they've been so close. They've been twice, 3 times. So I don't know, I just got a sneaky feeling Arsenal. Obviously Gyökere's gone in there up front. They had a lot of big injuries last year. Havertz, Saka. If they can keep them boys fit, I think Arsenal have a real chance of winning it. City have to improve. That run they went on last year, nobody saw them being that poor for that long. So you'd imagine City will improve. So between the big three, City, Liverpool and Arsenal, I don't know why, but I'm just going to go for Arsenal this year, I think.
Are you happy with United's business in the window? A lot of attacking players. They've got, Sesko in there, Cunha and Mbeumo.
Yeah, listen, obviously they needed it. Like their results last year were absolutely shocking, horrendous for a club of that stature. But I watched their pre-season games in the States. They definitely looked a lot better, lot better attacking wise. But they couldn't look any worse. I'd still have serious worries over. They don't have a keeper. Centre half really poor. Casemiro, I've said it for years, he's finished. So all of them will probably start against Arsenal tomorrow. So I'd have serious fears against for United. They're looking like a team that they're going to finish maybe 10th, which is terrible. But I suppose it's a long term thing with Amrin. They look like they're going to stick with him, hopefully. No point in changing the manager again every single year,
Needs to make a few more signings maybe in the...
The keeper's a big one. For me, they still need a keeper.
Yeah, the holding player in midfield though as well. I mean, is Ugarte going to be the one? He didn't do enough since he's played. There's times he's neat and tidy on the ball.
Doesn't score or doesn't get shot.
But that's right. He doesn't get into the box. And Casemiro's not going to do it. Mena has been kind of discarded. And the front players, like Kuna, can be a bit of a headbanger at times, can't he? He's
had a few red cards, didn't he, last week?
Yeah, and he's not the most. But I mean, he's a scorer of great goals, isn't he? And Bomo is with a team that were playing the counter attack with Brentford. Great, brilliant. But Brentford were generally on the back foot, break out quickly, physically strong. But Manchester United will be expected to dominate more games, and he'll have to be cuter, I think, in terms of his general play. Fernandes, will they be open in the middle of the field if it's Ugarte and Fernandes? Because with the three they've signed, if they're going to have to play, where does Fernandes play? He's not at his best playing a bit deeper, although he can create goals, but he's not great at running back towards his own goal and matching people. And you've got to do that in the intensity of the Premier League and the dynamism of most of the midfield players playing the Premier, or the attacking players, really. So that, I think United would score, what was it, 44 goals last year? They'll score more than that this year. But will they be able to keep them out? Will they show that consistency?
Where are you on, Brian, on Manchester City and Chelsea?
Well, I think it's all interesting at the top. Liverpool, I just spoke about.
Yeah.
I think it'd be... I think Liverpool still do very well. They've great spirit, come back last night, show what they can do in attack. Lots of attacking players, still short at centre-half. Van Dijk making a few mistakes. Kanate looked a bit off, but he'll sort himself out. They'll sort out the full-backs. Arsenal, Zubimendi with Arsenal. A good player, Gyökeres, we'll wait and see. Scored a lot of goals for Sporting Lisbon and Coventry, but it's a different challenge for Arsenal. But they should be better, Arsenal, in the front positions. They should score more goals. I think they will give it a right go again this year. Manchester City, I think it's been kind of low-key about Manchester City in terms of, because they fell away so badly last year, it's almost like people have forgotten them. They've won the league 6 times in the last 8. I'd say they're bulling. I'd say Pep is bulling in the background of how poor they were as the season went on last year and ended up with nothing. So I'd expect City to come back. They've signed good players. The fella Cherky off Leon is a very, very, very good player. Who else to get? The attacking players. They've signed Newry, good full-back, different. Reinders, a very good player, midfield player. They've loads of them, and they spent a fortune last year in January trying to fix things. They've got Doku for the wide position, Marmouche as well for the front position. Haaland will score loads of goals again. Where the centre-backs come back to form, Diaz looks a little bit off, but I expect them, City, to be back much better. And then Chelsea, in good shape, need another centre-half. The manager looks like he's given out an awful lot of coming and going, spent $1 billion there on players. But I think Chelsea will be better this year and will be closer to the mark. And I find that I don't think Chelsea will win it. I could see Manchester City win it, and I could think Arsenal could win it, and I think Liverpool will win it.
Will win it. Okay.
Yeah.
Liverpool prediction for the title from Brian Kerr. With Irish players, you're looking forward to seeing then, Colin?
We spoke earlier about watching matches. You want to watch a game there's an Irish player playing. Unfortunately, there's not enough of them in the Premier League, but obviously it's going to be interesting to see how Keller does with it's great. He's going to have Nathan Collins in front of him in Brentford. That's going to be
captain now as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant and a great opportunity.
Keith Andrews as the manager.
Yeah, and again, people can say what they want, but again, that's the way Brentford have done it. Thomas Frank was an assistant in the background with Dean Smith. Now they've given Keith Andrews a chance, so wish him all the best with that one. Jake O'Brien is an interesting one for me. He didn't get a look in under Sean Dyche, went there, and I have to say I really admire him as a centre half myself. The way he just got his head down, he got his chance at Moyes. Didn't matter that he played him at right full or wherever he played him, and he was outstanding. I saw him right towards the end of the season, thought he did really, really well. Watched him in pre-season, so whether he plays him right back or centre half, that can only be a good thing for Ireland. So he's one I'm really hoping pushes on. He's been really good on the ball, Brian.
When I was in for a little spell with John O'Shea with the international team March last year, Jake was in and he didn't actually get a go in the matches, but I was very impressed with him in the training and lovely attitude. That time he was in France and then they signed him. Everton paid all the money for him. I don't know what was going on with Dyche that he didn't play him. But he's flowered on the miles and adapted the right back position, as you say, and he's getting up the wing and crossing balls as well. But I think centre half is his position, and I think at the end of the season he got a bit of a go in some of the pre-season games as well, playing in the centre position with Tarkowski or Keane. Brentwaite is out injured, so I think he's starting the centre half position. But from an Irish point of view, it's another bonus that we've got a decent defender to go with, a Collins, O'Shea, with Robbie Brady playing right back. Will that be the back four for the Hungary game, which is a massive match? Omabama Daly, good player as well. He's playing now at Strasbourg in France. I think he'll come back into the picture at some stage. It depends on the system when he plays wing backs. Will Seamus to be still around? But yeah, I just like to see someone emerging for the central midfield to help out.
Lowell, maybe?
Possibly. There's a lot of talk about him. He's at Stoke, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's in the Championship. A lot of talk about him. He played centre half last week and he went off after 70 minutes. I think he had a little fitness issue. Andrew Morden might be the one. As I said, he's not physically a strong lad, but beautiful technical player. We just, you get it with Jason Knight battling around the middle of the field with Josh Cullen. I've hopes that Will Smallbone will develop a bit more.
Ogbene's back in, that's a big one.
Ogbene is Smodic's important player, great walker, and then Finn Azaz, good player. His fitness is a problem with him. I hope he's back on time for Hungary.
He didn't get a move, did he? There's a lot of talk of Finn Azaz.
Middlesbrough, he scored a lot of goals from midfield last year. He has that ability to get goals, see a pass. We saw in the two Bulgarian games. So there's a bit of hope about them. But unfortunately, a lot of the players are defensive players.
Well,
we need Ferguson.
Yeah.
We need Ferguson. Paris had a good time. He scored 8 goals in 5 games.
But
we need Ferguson to hit it off and start at Roma. Could be a hard one because they're not going to be patient at Roma. Like, if he's not scored goals in the first 5 or 6 games, I'm going to stay with him.
And they're making signings there. The Sancho is linked there, and they brought someone else in as well. So you'd be hoping Evan gets a shot. I thought it was a brilliant move for him. Obviously, the pre-season he scored a few goals against lower league teams or whatever. But it's a massive. I thought it was a great move. But as Brian said, he has to start.
I didn't think it was a great move. I don't think it's a great move if you're going to play. And Italy's not a place for patience, and don't even have reserve football or anything. He needs to be playing now, not coming on for 10 minutes and 15 minutes. And I don't know whether he's guaranteed that. Although the manager is a great fella, Gasparini, isn't it? And the work he did at Atalanta and improving many of the attacking players that everyone wanted to buy the Atalanta players afterwards. So maybe he feels for him and he's going to be his main man up front. But let's hope he gets off to a flyer and gets a couple of goals early in the season, and that we see the benefits of it for Ireland against Hungary.
I saw that you were at the tribute night to John Giles during the week, Brian. I couldn't get over the amount of Leeds fans last weekend at the game against Milan. You must have met some characters going on those planes back and forth from Ireland every weekend. Annoying you when you're having your coffee?
No, I never get annoyed. But anyway, no, but look, what amazes me is the dedication of fellas in terms of meeting blokes and all sorts of clubs, like not just the the Irish attached ones, the regulars, United, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal. Let's say they'd be the top 4 for various reasons. But you Leeds, of course, as well. But all sorts of clubs. I met a fella one day who was going to Carlisle, and he went to every Carlisle home game. And you get blokes who be going to the teams well down the division, Scunthorpe, because there'd be a bit of a cult thing about being a fan of Scunthorpe and going to Scunthorpe. But they would talk about the game very passionately and about getting to the matches and not missing matches home or away. That sort of stuff just fascinates me. I understand it, but what I'm delighted about now, that more of them are going to League of Ireland matches now on a Friday as well. There was a lot of them used to go, and I used to go, in my own head, I wouldn't say it out loud to them. I said, why are you spending all your bleeding money going to these matches? We're not going to League of Ireland. And now they've started to realise that there's passion and madness in the League of Ireland game, and the grounds are packed and tickets can be a bit tricky to get, particularly for the Dublin derbies. And it's fantastic. But yeah, I meet lots and lots of fellas, and usually they have a story about either they played a match or two with me or for me, or their brother did, or someone in the family did, going back and they will not remember them. And I'm kind of thinking back, give me that. And often I can remember them. I can usually pick them out and say, yeah, I take a chance and say he was an outside right, wasn't he? You say, yeah, he was a winger, all right, you know. I might looking at him, what does his brother look like? His brother's probably a smallish bloke. He was either right back or outside left. And then coming back, the Everton supporters and particularly the loyalty of the Everton supporters always fascinates me. That, you know, season in, there's a huge gang that go to Everton every week, every home game and most away games. And they deal with it in a very, you know, kind of resigned way of being used to getting beaten, but they stick with it through thick and thin. That's what I'd love to see Everton do something under David Moyes. That's what I was delighted for Palace. Even this season, Spurs winning the Europa League, or wherever, the Europa League, after all these years without a trophy. I'm always, you know, for the team that haven't done anything, or it's been a while since they do. But the Leeds thing last week and the huge crowd at it. But that goes back to Johnny Giles.
Yeah.
And the Irishness of that time, of that team, and his performances, and then the Dave O'Leary period after that, when Ian Hart and Gary Kelly and a few more were playing, and there was a lot of good young players playing there that were in our teams, Alan Mabry and Paul Donnelly and a few more. Who else have we got? Well, we had a good few young players playing, because Steve MacPhail, of course, had an attachment with Home Farm. And there was always young players going. But I think the Leeds thing goes back to that, unless you can tell me it goes back further to that, you know, when Giles went to Leeds in '63, and that period after that with Jack Charlton and all those great players.
And also the fact that they won. They were winning.
Yeah, well, they were winning, because what happened was the kids, I put with Johnny MacDonald as one of them. Johnny MacDonald would be a Leeds fan. But there's lots of blokes around that age group who, when they were kids, they started seeing Leeds on the telly, just as I did when, you know, I saw Spurs on the telly, 61, 62, when Leeds was a bit later. And they were a great team. Didn't win as much as they should have, but they were a great team under Don Revie. But Giles was the brains of the team in the middle of the pitch with Bremner, and we were seeing him with the international team. He was sensational. Jack Charlton, Norman Hunter, centre-backs, and, you know, Reaney and Trevor Cherry, Eddie Gray in the wing, Peter Lorimer on the other wing, on the other wing, and Mick Jones and Alan Clark, and players. They were a fabulous team, and they played fabulous football, and they were nasty as well, and they got a lot of criticism for that, but they were a brilliant team and at their best. And some of the clips that were showed the other night at our event, in the Off the Ball event in the Sugar Club, were fantastic. You know, and the clips of Giles scoring great goals, long-range shots, 115 goals in the league in 383 games, playing midfield. Well, you know, how good was that? You know, he took penalties and free kicks, but 115 goals, like that's nearly a striker's return in any year of the game. It's a goal, just under a goal every 3 games, playing centre midfield in the old 4-4-2 system, where you had to come back and help your centre halves. You had to be back near the back four when you were defending. I mean, Bremner was good. I think Bremner ended up with the same number of goals, 115 as well. Yeah, exactly. So, but you know, Joe Jordan was there the other night, and Eddie Gray. They were great, lovely people. I dealt with them. Joe Jordan used to scout matches for me when I was manager of Ireland. Neil McCarty told me Joe would be willing to go and do matches. He was our manager at the time. Brilliant match reports he gave me. Unfortunately, we didn't always use them well enough to win the matches. But and Eddie Gray was great support of Irish football and Irishness, and he was kind of head of the academy and had various roles at Leeds, and I might be fighting with managers for the release of players. He was always very, very helpful. They were brilliant talking about Leeds United the other night.
We're chatting to Brian Kerr and Colin Hawkins here on Off the Ball Saturday. Finished goalless between Aston Villa and Newcastle. Ezri Konsa was sent off. Just some WhatsApp is in here. Ruben Amorim sticks with the 3-4-3 formation. Then either United will struggle for a top 10 or get rid of the manager by Halloween. Another one here. Hello to Colin. Met him recently on the boat to Inishbofin Island. Listening to the show on the boat now.
Yeah, we had a day trip to Inishbofin. I'd highly recommend it. The ferry out there, it's a day trip. It's absolutely brilliant. You go out from Cleggan. Went out there last week, so yeah.
Just you revealed some good news on social media recently, Colin.
Yeah, listen, it's been well documented. I've had a tough journey now, 2.5 years. Diagnosed January 2023 out of nowhere. I'd had a bit of pain and diagnosed with multiple myeloma cancer I'd never heard of. It's the second most common cancer, blood cancer. 370 people a year in Ireland got diagnosed with it. The diagnosis is getting a little bit better as it's becoming more common. But yeah, so I'm now on my 4th line of treatment. So unfortunately the other 3 haven't worked, stem cell transplant, etc. But I started a new drug just after Easter. And the team in the Mater Hospital have just been incredible. I've had support from the Cancer Care West Society in Galway, the Irish Cancer Society, so just a shout out to all of them. But yeah, at the moment I'm back in remission for the 2nd time. I'm still on strong chemotherapy every Friday, but remaining positive and staying strong, and just shout out to all the team looking after me in there. They're incredible people.
You were an elite athlete, you're fit and healthy, so it must have been completely unexpected. Yeah, again, and I'm one of 10 in my family, and I was the only one really involved in sports, so I was probably the unlikely one, if you like. And this blood cancer is one that would generally be people in their 70s and 80s, so it was a strange one to pick up. There's no reason for these things, like you don't feel bad about it, or feel, these things happen, and it's how you deal with it, and you got to remain positive. But the support I've had, honestly, obviously your family and your friends are going to be there, but the football family is just... Including the man beside you.
Yeah, unbelievable. Seriously, that Malaysia group. Brian was the first man out to my house with Thomas Morgan, we mentioned earlier. They came out to see me, but just all that support, you just know people are in your corner, and there is some dark days. You come across as being tough and all that, but there is days when you're really struggling with it, and that's when you need these people reaching out and support. So I've had plenty of that, and I'm going to need it going forward, because this, it's one of these cancers, there's no cure for it, so it's going to be a constant this treatment, that treatment, in remission, out of remission, so you just got to keep fighting it. But you need good people around you, and as I said, the football family have been incredible for me. Yeah, it's a sport and a community all about support in the stands, and it's brilliant to see the best people, isn't it? That's it. Like, I've played with a lot of clubs around Dublin and whatever, and I'm a Galway man, but people give you stick when you leave a club going from A to B, but then you get a lot of nice messages then. People don't forget the good things you've done for that club at the time, so all that's really important. Whether I go down to a Shells match, a Bows, a Pats, a Rovers, whatever, there's a lot of good people fighting my corner, which is brilliant. And also as well, just to finish on this, important for people to have the checkup, to have the MOT once a year maybe. Yeah, I said it myself. I was lucky enough. You're involved with football clubs. You've Alan Byrne, you've all the top doctors. You're spoiled rotten as a footballer. You don't even think about it. Everything's looked after you on a plate. And then when I got sick, I didn't even have a GP, because I've been out of football for whatever 10, 15 years. So yeah, I struggled for ages to get in a doctor's appointment, because I didn't have a GP in Meath. And then eventually I had to go down to Galway. A good friend of mine, Noel Howard, is a GP down there, and that set the ball in motion. So first of all, make sure you have a GP. And second of all, if there's anything at all wrong, make sure just get it checked out, whatever it is, male or female. I've been through it with my wife at home as well. Get yourself sorted, get checked out, Delighted to hear the news. Yeah, thank you, John. Thanks, Colin. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, he reminded me that the only player I didn't mention from Malaysia was Desi Baker, and he won't be happy if I didn't mention Desi, because he got a goal in the place playoff. A great headed goal. Ex-Manchester United, Desi, one of the greats. But Colin, fantastic. Everybody has been wishing him well and the best, and he's a great player and a great person at all those clubs, and everybody feels a lot of fondness for him. So it's brilliant to be with him today, and he's looking so well too. Well Brian, appreciate it. Thank you, Brian and Colin. Brian, check your phone. You might have Oasis tickets from somebody. Brian Kerr, Colin Hawkins, thanks so much, folks. Enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy the season. Thanks, John. I'm looking forward to all the games starting tomorrow. Yeah, and we're looking forward to having you on as well. Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. We're back after this break. We're going to reflect on some of the best moments of the GA season. Then we got Football Saturday between 3 and 5 with Owen Doyle, Graham Garland and Dave Connolly. Lots more to come between now and 5. We'll talk after the break.